Hi, this is Tani with Fit for Life. Today we're going to talk about stress eating and emotional eating. I struggle with it all the time, even now. It's something that you have to constantly work on, that you're not going to suddenly be cured of it. And sometimes you do have slip ups, but you know what? It'll be okay if you do slip up. Just catch it and learn from it. Okay, so I wrote some stuff down, so if I'm looking away, it's just because I'm looking at what I'm going to be posting on my blog too, to kind of keep me in check. Because as y'all all know, I have some undiagnosed ADHD or something, because I can go off on all sorts of subjects. So this is going to help me kind of keep me on track. Alright, so emotional eating, we're going to go back to that. Emotional eating is it can be caused by a lot of different things. It can be caused by anything, major traumatic events like death, deployment, divorce, major things, or it can happen because of little things adding up in your day-to-day life. Like you were late for a class, you were late for appointments, you jammed your little toe walking into the bathroom, and little Jimmy in there screaming because he decided he was going to mark up all of himself and the furniture with some permanent markers he pulled down off the counter. It could be really hectic. So it could be it's going to be a vicious cycle that you're going to try to get out of. You stress, you eat, you feel better for a little bit, then you feel really guilty because you stress ate, and then you're like, oh my gosh, and you give yourself the guilt trip, and then it starts all over. And so these are the 5 steps that kind of help me with emotional eating. And it's not only what it's helped me, it's also helped some of my clients and some of my friends that have been dealing with emotional eating. So the first thing, step 1, is you're going to identify your triggers. And you're going to do that by paying attention about what is going on in your day to make you feel like you want to eat a gallon of ice cream or a whole big family-sized bag of chips. Pay attention. The best way to do it is to either start a blog, and it doesn't have to be a public one, or get a notebook and journal. You're going to be able to pinpoint what sets you off and why you want to eat. Alright, so emotional eating triggers. Like I said, you're going to want to write it down. You're going to want to know, do you overeat whenever you're angry, whenever you're upset, whenever you're sad, you're lonely? You have to point it down to kind of help. And then you're going to come up with alternatives. Whenever you are upset, do you, instead of reaching for the Doritos, go ahead and make a plan of action. When I get mad, instead of eating, I am going to try A, B, C, or D, which it could be walking, it could be just turning your iPod on and listening to music, and kind of just center on yourself to kind of bring that anger or that feeling that you're feeling, it doesn't have to be anger, out, and kind of just calm yourself down. After you get those plans in place, which it kind of coincides with step 5, but you're going to go to step 2. Recognize your hunger signals. If you're really hungry, make sure you're eating. And they all kind of flow together. Make sure you're eating what you need to eat at the right times. If you don't know how to tell your hunger signals, you're going to basically all right, so with hunger signals, you're going to ask yourself, are you really hungry? You're going to give yourself about 10 minutes before you actually do eat, and then go from there. If you're still hungry 10 minutes later, make sure that you're trying to find a healthier alternative to what you're wanting to eat, because you might be stressed. So instead of, and this kind of flows into step 3. Step 3 is to limit your trigger foods. So anything that you go overboard with whenever you get stressed or emotionally distressed, go ahead and limit all your trigger foods. Get them out of the house. You know you're going to use them for not the greater good at all. So get rid of them. If there's something your family members and stuff eat, put them away on either a really low shelf, like at the bottom of the pantry, or the really, really high shelves, kind of out of the way. But my suggestion is, if you're really having that hard of a time with it, go ahead and get rid of them and just be open with your family. Say, look, I'm trying to get my emotional, needs met, and this stuff is not doing me any good. If you want it, you eat it out of the house somewhere. It's not going to stay here. And just be open about it. Let them know. Just let them know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I'm so, I'm the one that's doing the shopping and stuff like that. Whatever I buy comes in the house. If my husband wants it, he usually eats it at work, or he brings it, or he'll wind up bringing it home. But after so long, they kind of get the drift. He doesn't really do that too much anymore. Especially, he knows how I am with my trigger food is cake and sweets, especially cake. So it doesn't matter how healthy it's made or anything like that. It's not going to be in the house for very long. I might have a slice and then they'll either eat it or I'll throw it away. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. I used to. It takes a while. So you're going to limit your trigger foods. It doesn't mean that you have to totally forget about them and never eat them again. Just do it whenever you're out and about with other people. Don't do it by yourself, because I know all too well buying the candy bars or the little cakes that come in the cups at or they got the individual slice cakes now that come in the grocery stores. And I know all too well, you get your little plastic forks and whatever else, and you can eat it in peace and solitude in your vehicle. Trust me, I've been there, done that. So my rule of thumb, if I want a piece of cake or anything, I wait until we go out to eat, which isn't very often. Or we'll make a special trip out to, like, we have a Cold Stone or a Minchie's, which is a little bit better. It's a frozen yogurt place. And I'll go and I'll have whatever there. And it's a little bit easier to eat like that and not eat as much in that kind of social situation. For me, you're going to have to find what works for you, though. So if something like that sounds a little bit easier to handle, then by all means try it. If it doesn't work for you, just let me know and we could kind of brainstorm on it. Step 4 is don't skip meals. Like I think I said earlier, make sure you're eating. Eat breakfast. Breakfast is one of my biggest meals of the day. It's the most protein-packed meal of the day too. It kind of keeps me from being as hungry as if I didn't eat as much protein. But pack your snacks if you're going to be out all day. Make sure you're eating. And if you have a hard time, if you're really busy, set reminders in your phone or on your computer or something, just to pop up and say, hey, did you eat today? Or did you eat for lunch? And I know it sounds silly, but if you're busy running around and doing things, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like starving. I gotta eat now. That's usually whenever you make the worst decisions of eating. So make sure that you're feeding yourself like you need to. All right, in step 5, you're going to create alternatives to eating. Whenever you're getting stressed or you're upset or you're mad, like I said earlier, make sure that you you find alternatives. You're going to be like, well, if I feel upset, can I go, I got the treadmill or the elliptical or something. Let me hop on that for 10 minutes or go take a quick 10-minute walk. Exercise is usually my biggest outlet, and if I'm not able to go exercise, and if it's like in the middle of the night and my husband's sleeping or whatever, I can sit there and quietly, I have all my tutu and bow stuff already pre-cut, and I'll sit there very quietly while watching TV and he's sleeping, and I'm making tutus, and it calms me down, and I'm not eating. So find something that you like to do. Gardening, reading your book, anything that interests you. Just find an alternative and write it down. I have Post-it notes. Well, I used to. I don't have them anymore, but I used to have Post-it notes all over my fridge. So whenever I did get emotionally to where I wanted to just open up the door and just eat everything in there, I had the Post-it notes kind of reminded me. Instead of are you really hungry? One of them would say. Did you try? And it would list a couple. And then I had another Post-it note that listed a couple more things. And it would serve as a reminder that I needed to back away and go do something. And if I'm still absolutely hungry, then I'm going to grab something healthy like an apple or an orange. And if I don't want anything, or some kind of, I do the air pop popcorn or something. And if I don't want any of that, then it is my cue to go ahead and do something on that list, for sure. It's something that you have to make yourself do. You're not going to be able to do it the first few times, and kind of, it's hard to rein yourself in. Even sometimes I slip, and, it's okay. You just got to forgive yourself, because everybody, makes a mistake. And you just have to forgive and learn from it, and then move on. You can start the very next second after you catch yourself. So don't think that just because you blew it with an emotional binge means that you can just throw the rest of the day away, because you don't really have to. And so, like I said, you just have to focus on the positive, and it'll go a long way to helping you deal with this. So, like I said, I'll have all this stuff written on my blog too, so if you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment on the blog, and like I said, I'll help y'all as much as I can. The only thing I don't do is meal plans. Other than that, I'll see what I can do for you. Happy holidays.